I think I've stated over the years that I never used a jacketed bullet in a handgun or in a centerfire rifle. I mean, you know, ones that were reloaded. I never reloaded jacketed to my recollection, but when I started doing some real thinking about it, yes, I had. But one time, I had loaded some jacketed bullets in a handgun. Never in a rifle, but in a handgun. And I stopped that practice. And there was a reason why. I'll get to it in a second. Back in the day, let's see if I can do this correctly. Let's do this like, maybe like that. Yeah, that don't show up too good. Let's do it this way. Yeah, that'd be better. Okay. If you notice here, you have two bullets. One on the left is a jacketed 45 ACP. The other is a 45 long Colt, and if you notice here, you have your grease groove, and then up here, right there, is your crimping groove. A long time ago, when Fuzzy was just starting reloading, he went into the store to get a reloader, and so he found one that was a Lee, and the price was correct, so got it. Got the directions. I was all ready to go. So, yeah, so I got the reloader, got the powder. I settled for the red dot. But you could use red dot with that scoop or the Hercules Unique. So I got the red dot since I was using red dot anyway at that time for shotgun shells in the Lee. I forget the name of the press, but it was a little press for $29 and it worked good for reloading shotgun shells. So I got the resizer. Well, I didn't get this right away because I wasn't casting yet. So old Fuzzy, he goes and gets these jacketed bullets. I told the guys I need some 45, need a box of them. Okay, so they handed me the jacketed bullets and I went home and reloaded for my Ruger single action 45 long Colt. So I go through all the work of getting everything, knocking out the primer, resizing the case, putting a new primer in, and dumping in the powder, and then I seated the bullet. Well, on your jacketed bullets, you don't have a crimping groove. Big difference. Well, the crimping groove on handgun bullets are there for a reason, because under the force of recoil, the bullets tend to jump. They'll move out of the case. Okay, so old Fuzzy gets out there, and on the farm, we had, I think it was a 61 or 62 an Oldsmobile or a Buick or some big thing, big long thing. But the engine hadn't blown. It was sitting way in the back there by the swamp. So I went back there to do my first reload so that nobody got hurt. So I get back there and I set things up, pasted a target on the door of the car. And I stepped back about 10 foot, loaded the gun, pulled up, and fired around. So I walked up to the door of the car, and man, that worked great. I mean, it was dead center, dead center. Well, while I'm looking at it, I tilted the barrel of the handgun down towards the ground. And in that process, something hit me on the foot. I looked down. There was another jacketed bullet that had jumped out of the case, and there was powder all over my work boot. So I went back up to the house and I go, ooh, something's got to be done. So I went and bought a Lee mold, 255 grain flat, 452, and that's what I used for years and years. Then later on, I was able to get an RCBS, semi-wide cutter like this, and started casting from that. But that's how you learn. But that's the value of a crimp. If you have a jacketed bullet, there's nothing to really hold it down. And I didn't know that much about taper crimps then. This is 1976. Yeah. So, anyway, after I started casting bullets and I had a crimping groove, I never went back to a jacketed bullet. Never went back. I bought some for the rifle, and they were still laying around here, 40 years later? But that's how it works. That's how you learn. You're going to make mistakes, but you learn from your mistakes. One nice thing about that old car, it had wheel weights on it. So the wheel weights come off. The lead terminals for the battery came off. The lead posts for the battery come off. And I had some lead. These are marked WW because they're wheel weights, and then on the other side they're also stamped with the W. That way there's no mistake. Some is soft lead, and this stamped with an S. But anyway, that's how I got my start. I wised up after that, and life goes on. But like I said, you learn from your mistakes. Make sure you have a good crimp on your handgun bullets, like in revolver. With automatics, is you get a taper crimp, but you don't have to worry so much because they're in a magazine, and they're not. If they do happen to jump at all, they won't move very far. I mean, you're not going to have the bullet come out and have dump powder all over your shoe like I did. But that's how you learn. Yep. So there was this one time that I used jacketed. It was a one-time only thing, and since then every bullet has been cast, except for factory rounds. Factory rounds are different in your centerfire rifles, but that's how you learn, guys, and you don't make those mistakes twice. It's a one-time deal. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks again.